Hey everyone, today's overview and review video is on Dulce. If you're new to the channel, this is 2sheep1wheat. My name is Krissy. If you're into board games, like this video and subscribe to the channel. We have also added members to the channel, so if you're ultra into board games, take a look at that link down in the description below. So this game was sent to me by Stronghold Games, so a big thank you to them for sending the game for me to review for all of you. So let's go ahead and take a look at the table and see what this game comes with. So this game is for 1 to 4 players, so there are 2 other boards. The colors for these are yellow, red, blue, and green. The associated player aid is also in the same color, and you also get the same colored cards associated, whichever color that you're playing with. And also we have the meeples in the same color, and we have chickens in the same color. And then we have resources. We have cacao, coffee, peanut, and vanilla. And then we also have eggs. So basically how I have the game set up, that's how setup is, but there is one setup. So one player is going to shuffle their deck, they're going to remove 4 random cards, and that person is going to be the player who's going to draw the cards, and every other player is going to have to find that card in their deck, and that's the card that everyone for the round is going to be playing. So let's go ahead and get into actions and how the game plays. So like I said, one random person is going to shuffle their deck. All of the decks are going to be building face up. The other side is what's going to be going onto your board. So once you have everything all shuffled the way that you want it, you're just going to remove 4 cards at random. And then that just is going to set the rounds as well. So each game is going to last 20 rounds with the deck of cards. So there is a player aid, and it does go through all of the rounds. So there's the draw phase, an action phase, and a scoring phase. So we'll start with the draw phase. You're going to take the top card off of the deck. In this case, it would be number 3. This is when the action phase takes place. So for actions, you can either build a cafe, you can plant a field, or you can harvest crops. Now, we'll talk about the first one, which is build a cafe. So like I said, there are 2 sides to this. So if you wanted to build a cafe, since it is on the top of this, we'll talk about it, you can build a cafe, which is just simply placing it to the side of your board. And now this is going to be somewhere that can accumulate some of the resources to build, for this one, cookies or vanilla lattes. Whichever the building that you're building, we'll use those resources that are on it. Or if you didn't want that, you'd be able to plant a field, which is flipping it over, and then you can plant it anywhere on here. You can cover up the buildings that are already on there, but then you'll have one less spot to be able to put the resources. When you're placing the cards, when you're planting fields, you can place them overlapping if you want. And whenever you do plant it, then that's how you're going to get the resources. You're going to place the resources on the board, or on the card of which color corresponds with which color, and vanilla. So that's how that works. Later on, once you go into another round, you can plant another field. You can plant it on the side, you can plant it basically anywhere that you want. You can overlap them, like I was saying, and if you want to overlap them on the same ones that are already there, if you're covering up a field, you're basically getting rid of the resources. It doesn't even have to be the same. It could be the cacao or the peanut butter, but whatever you're covering up, if there are cubes, then you're basically feeding your chicken. And in this case, you're going to go up 2 because we're getting rid of those. So the chicken is basically during the harvest phase. You can reduce the amount by 3 for your chicken and collect an egg, which is basically a one-time use that you can use for it. So when you cover it up and it's the exact same resources, you get to double up on the resources that you place on the card. So in this case, there'll be 2 coffee and 2 vanilla. And the reason that you're putting all of these resources on the board is because whenever the time comes for the next action, which is harvest crops, you want to have as much out here on as possible so that you're able to bake as much as you can, because fulfilling these orders is how you're going to move your meeple up to collect victory points. So once you have enough resources that you have on the board that you want to, let's just say we have a couple of buildings out here too. Now you can stack them up like this because it really just matters on the icons right here. So let's say this is what we have. We have 2 chickens. So now we'll go on to the third action, which is harvesting crops. So you're basically taking the resources off. You're going to select one line, either vertical or horizontally, and you're going to take the resources off of there and you're going to place them on the shops. So with the shops, they have a fancy little ring system here. So a 3 circle basically means it's a pure bean. So whatever they're using for like all of these have 3 rings, it's going to require a pure bean. Now a pure bean is directly coming off of harvest. You'd be able to place it there if this line is the one that we were harvesting. And then you can place all of them on whichever ones that are 3 rings. Once the card fulfills and the order fulfills, let's say that we had let's just say that we had a vanilla that was up here instead, you'd be able to, if you wanted to, you could place it here. So you're going to start off with the 3 rings because they're pure beans. And then these ones are only 1 ingredient only. So that would fulfill and get you a point. And then you're gonna move it to another one, which would be a 2 ring. And then once the 2 ring is a ground bean. So we're basically going down the list here. You'd be able to, if we had another card that had a 1 vanilla, it would go from the 3 to the 2 until that card, the order was completed, and then it would be able to go to the butter phase, which is a 1 ring. So you're basically going down the line with each ingredient, each pure ingredient that you have. Once you harvested the whole row, let's just say we'll place this one here. The coffee, I don't have another coffee except this one. So I'm basically skipping 2 orders that I could have done by placing it on the butter phase instead of going through the pure bean and then the ground bean. And now I'm just directly going to butter. And then we have a peanut butter one, which I will place right here. So you're doing this so that you can complete as many orders as possible and gaining victory points. So once you've harvested the row, this is when you can use 3 chickens. If you had 3, then you'd be able to go down to 0 and you'd be able to collect an egg. Now this again is just a wild, it's a 1-time only. So if you want to think about your process here, the vanilla is going to go there, the peanut butter is already here. I'm not going to be able to fulfill this peanut butter, but I know my vanilla is going to go here after. So I'm going to place the chicken, the egg on this one, because once my vanilla goes through all the stages, I'll be able to complete this order and therefore giving me a victory point. Now we're going to complete our orders here and gain our victory points. So the vanilla would come off, I would gain a victory point for that, and then I'm going to move my vanilla from a 3 ring to a 2 ring, which will go right here. Now as you see, this will complete this order. So you can take these off, and we know that our vanilla, we're going to collect a victory point for this because the order is completed. We know that our vanilla for the 2 ring is going to go down to the 1 ring, and then we have a 3 cacao. We don't have another building card that has a 2 ring or a 1 ring for cacao. So we do have this other 3 ring here, but it's not going to go anywhere. So we're going to remove it, but that'll give us, basically we're feeding our chickens. So that'll raise up our chicken by 1. And then that completes this order. So we'll take that off. That's going to give us another victory point as well. So once the egg is done, then it's going to come off. It's just a wild for a 1-time only. It doesn't get to degrade itself. So then we can complete these here. Again, I have a 3 ring peanut butter. I'm going to take that off. It's going to complete an order, and I'm able to place it on the 2 ring right here. That's going to complete this order, and that'll get me another victory point. I can move my 2 peanut butter down to my 1. This one has no more life cycle. It's down to butter. I do not have another cacao to be able to place there because this is a 3 ring right here, and it's going to go down to a 2 ring. Unfortunately, I don't have any of that. But this one completes this order. I'll get the victory point for that. But unfortunately, it's going to go away because I don't have anywhere else to put it. So that's going to get me another chicken fed. And then I have a coffee bean. That is a 3. I don't have a 2 ring coffee bean. So I'm going to place it on the 1 coffee or the 1 ring coffee bean that's on that card, and that'll also get me a victory point. So that is how you harvest crops. Harvesting crops is what takes the longest time to do within all of the actions. So those are all the actions. So you're basically going to go until all the cards are gone. So you're always, the one person who shuffled their deck is always going to take the 1 card, say it out loud so everybody knows, okay, card 22. Everyone's going to search through their decks for card number 22, and then everybody has the option to either build the cafe or plant the field or harvest the crop. And again, once you harvest the crop, then you get to score. And then so at the end of the game, whoever has more score is going to be the winner. So that's basically how you play Dulce. It is a very simple game, very easy to learn, very easy to play, but there is some strategy within the game because of the crops that you're placing out and also the cafes that you're building, and you want to make sure that you utilize all of your ingredients properly so that you're not wasting any. However, you're technically not wasting them because you get to feed your chicken, which will give you an egg, which is a wild in this case. So because this is a lighter game, the rulebook is very small. It has very good examples, very easy to learn the game, and it's just as equally easy to play the game. It also has really nice artwork for as much as it can on the boards. It is like as if you're actually planting. The boards do have empty fields, and then the cards that are actually on it have things that are planted, which goes to the theme that we're actually building cafes, we're planting fields, and then we're able to harvest the crop whenever they're on them as well by taking the cubes off. Could this game be any theme? Yeah, maybe. It probably could be. I do enjoy this theme though, that you're planting, you're harvesting, you are completing orders. I think the theme suits the type of game that it is just based off of what you're actually doing within the game. But it might be able to have a different theme. I think a different theme might be able to work in this case as well. But I do enjoy this type of theme for this type of game. The resources in this one really help with that. Planting them, they're all the same colors, so you know exactly what it is while you're playing it. And the components are pretty good. The resources are good. They're just plastic cubes. I don't think it needed to get any fancier than what that is. I think even just wooden cubes would have been all right. My thoughts on the game is I really like that it is light enough. Very easy to set up, something that is just kind of something that either starts your game night or ends your game night. It's a lot of fun, and it's basically, you can play this basically solo. It is a solo multiplayer game. It's not very much communication between everybody other than you just shouting out which card that you are playing with next, for everybody to shuffle through their cards to be able to find it as well. I think the thing about this game for me that, not even anything, it's the harvesting, because you're scoring right after too. So if all players are playing are doing something different, because you totally have the choice to play whichever one that you want. The player who harvests their field is going to calculate the victory points at the end. Like they're going to score it as well, which is what takes the longest in this game. So if you are just building a cafe, you're literally flipping the card, or not even flipping the card because it's the right side up, but you're placing the card down and then you sit there and you wait for the person to harvest and collect all their victory points for it. So I think that's what takes the longest time, and you're just sitting there waiting. But other than that, like the game goes pretty quickly too. Like you're doing 20 rounds, you're taking out those 4 cards. So it's kind of like, it's the same game every time you play it, but the cards that you're going to get are a little bit different, which kind of mixes things up a little bit. I like this game. It's nice, quick, and easy. If you're looking for a quieter game, but to play with somebody else, then this is a great game to play. I do recommend it if that is something that you're looking for. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will catch you next time.